We need to wake up. Wake up out of unconscious thinking, out of complete identification with the thinking mind, which is conditioned by the past. And we need to realize that there is in us, there is in you, another dimension of consciousness that has always been there, but habitually, one could say, overlooked. And that is the dimension of awareness, which is consciousness without thought. You probably have experienced it on many occasions, briefly. For example, when engaged in an activity that requires you to be absolutely present, climbing up a mountain, sometimes perhaps engaged in some kind of sport activity. It requires you to be absolutely present. And then there's an awareness there, but there's no conceptual thinking. There's no time for thinking. And the strange thing is, this awareness is a deeper identity. It's the awareness that you are frees you ultimately from yourself, the limited self, the conditioned self, the mind-made sense of self that for most people, that's all they know. But there's more to you. And there's a deeper identity in you, and that identity is awareness itself, that is consciousness itself. It's the unconditioned consciousness itself, and it's not difficult to experience that, to realize that. But humans they need the challenge to be driven there, and this is why what we are going through right now is potentially very helpful. So the practice is, how would I experience this moment without the addition of thought? And then you come to experience the pure isness of this moment, in which there is no suffering. There is only the isness of this, because all the unhappiness ultimately was not created by the situation, it was created by the narrative. But you didn't know that, as most humans still don't know that, because they cannot separate the situation from the narrative. And so whenever you feel unhappy, you feel fearful, you feel depressed, you feel resentful, what's happening, self-pity, whatever it may be, use that as a little wake-up call. Say, okay, how does this arise? How is this feeling of unhappiness in whatever form, how does it come about? And then you become more and more aware of what goes on in your thinking mind. The awareness is deeper, a deeper dimension of consciousness. You can say higher or deeper, it doesn't matter. It is a deeper dimension of consciousness than the activity of thought, which is also consciousness. Every thought is a form that consciousness takes. But underneath that, there's a vast realm of consciousness, in the same way that a ripple on the surface of the ocean, let's say that's a thought, but the ripple is only a temporary, fleeting expression of a much deeper reality underneath it. And so you wake up to that deeper identity by realizing the fundamental difference between what is and what the mind has to say about it. And then more and more you're able to experience situations with the power of your presence. You're facing a situation with the power of your presence. It's not your presence, but let's just call it yours. You face it with the power of your presence, which is true intelligence, instead of being reactive and complaining about what it ever is you're experiencing.